the first thing I saw was the absolutely ridiculous, stupid call by that official. Shocking, a WNBA official with a bad call. Shocking when Caitlin Clark is going to the basket, trying to make a layup, and went out of bounds. And the official didn't bother to move. She looked like the Statue of Liberty standing there. And Caitlin Clark barely touched her. There was accidental contact. That official is lucky Caitlin didn't run her over and threw into the row 5. But she didn't. She eased up. There was accidental contact. And then the official you got a technical foul. And Caitlin was like, you got to be kidding me. And so was the world. You got to be kidding me. And when I saw that video, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. What the hell did she do? And for Caitlin Clark in that situation, it was crazy because that would have been her 8th technical foul of the year. And that results in an automatic 1-game suspension. So that dumb call was quickly rescinded, mainly because it was a stupid call and it was inaccurate. And the other reason I believe truly is that Caitlin Clark, the next game for her is Tuesday, against the New York Liberty. Tuesday's game just happens to be on ESPN. You think ESPN wants to do an Indiana Fever game without Caitlin Clark in it because of some BS call? So that was quickly rescinded. Okay, that was the number one thing that happened that I first saw after I got out of the Kelly Clarkson concert. The second thing was the DiJonai Carrington, assault to the neck of Sophie Cunningham. Sophie Cunningham was going, obviously, for a layup. DiJonai Carrington, really, some people say it was her playing great defense, but her arm struck Sophie's neck and knocked her over. And let's congratulate the officials when congratulations are indeed worthy. They made the right call. They called it a flagrant 2 foul on DiJonai Carrington. And that was the correct call. And so that meant Carrington was thrown out of the game, ejected, automatic ejection. And here's the crazy part. So she goes in the locker room, and what does she do? She's not thinking about what she did. She's not thinking about how she hurt her team. No. She goes to her phone and goes on her Threads account and posts white privilege at Indiana Fever, so they would see it, of course. And she put the date of the next game, the rematch of when they play each other again. And that would mark it down on your calendar. That would be August 23rd. And so my question to you, even though I said on an earlier video, which I had to do on Sunday because this was eating at me, it's one stupid thing to say white privilege, which it was not. The other thing, I don't care what she said. She could have said dog privilege, cat privilege. It doesn't matter. The point is, she should be fined. Fined for using social media, fined for doing this during a game. I don't care if she was thrown out of the game. That should be a rule that you should not be allowed to, players should not be allowed, coaches should not be allowed to go on social media during a game. So I'm sure that fine's not going to happen. So anyway, there was those two issues. And you know what cracks me up, though? The thing that always cracks me up is that there's one side of this fence that says, there's the other side always using social media to create a narrative when it comes to the WNBA and how it feels about politics and cultural issues. That's what they accuse people of doing on a certain side. Well, isn't what DiJonai Carrington did, isn't she doing the same thing? She's using social media to make her point and create a narrative. So it's not one side, it's both sides doing that. And then after the game, good old Stephanie White, always creating content for me. I forget what team she coaches half the time because she's busy defending players that are from the other team, not her own. Take what happened, of course, in the DiJonai Carrington situation. Stephanie White agreed the call was correct, but she went on to praise Carrington. Roll it, Dominic.
About Nay is that she's going to play her butt off, man. She's going to compete. Nobody's going to go walking in for a layup. And so I don't oppose the hard foul. But I also don't think that she intentionally went for the net.
I listened to that whole post-game news conference by Stephanie White. There was no mention of Sophie Cunningham or any support for her own player. And remember last week when I told you about it on the show, when Sophie was elbowed in the face in another game and the officials gave Sophie Cunningham the foul and Stephanie White looked like a spectator because she didn't get up out of her seat to argue that call even after a video review let the call stand? That's Sophie's coach. She never supports Sophie Cunningham, ever, ever. And then, of course, a lot of people, a lot of you guys who watch the show remind me, she did the same thing. Here she was praising the kind of player DiJonai Carrington is. She did the same thing with Alyssa Thomas when Caitlin Clark was on her back and Thomas had her arm to her throat. And there was support for Alyssa Thomas and not a lot of concern for Caitlin Clark in that situation by Stephanie White. This coach, listen, I know her history. I know what a great player she used to be. I know what a great coach at times she is, but it's not working with the Indiana Fever. The reason why she's not fired already is because either the ownership or the team executives don't care or are not even watching the games, which I don't think that's the case. But Indiana Fever, they're doing well. They're championship contenders in the WNBA this year, but they are not because of Stephanie White. They are because of Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. That combo, that tandem makes Indiana Fever games worth watching, always worth watching. So Stephanie White, count your blessings for at least two of the players you're coaching because I feel, my opinion, they have kept you in your coaching seat, at least for the end of this year. Now, it gets better. This weekend has been all WNBA chaos. I'm not looking for it. It's there provided on a platter. Former NBA players, Enes Kanter and Royce White, they made news. They have announced plans to enter the WNBA draft. That's right. They are challenging the WNBA over its rules concerning transgender athletes. Now, the current framework of those rules allows them to claim eligibility based on gender identity. Kanter essentially is saying, if these are the rules, I'm going to test them. That's what he's doing here. I mean, are we going to see Enes Kanter in the WNBA and Royce White in the WNBA? My money is on no. No, they're not going to be drafted. But when this happened, that triggered something in WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. Hello, Cathy Engelbert. Thank you for being around and, making sure that's not crickets here because there's a lot going on in your league. So Cathy Engelbert sent a memo to teams acknowledging the controversy and said league leadership will meet next week to discuss transgender athlete participation and the current league policy. Now, speaking of the current league policy, just in case you want to be, refresh your course on the WNBA's current collective bargaining agreement, it reads only players who are women are eligible to play in the WNBA. And that might sound like common sense considering the W in WNBA stands for women, last we looked. But this CBA, though, does not define woman or establish whether eligibility is based on biological sex, gender identity, hormones, etc., and all that stuff. So any change in league policy is going to happen through the collective bargaining agreement. And that is why the commissioner can't change it. Not that who knows if she would anyway. But that is why she has scheduled this meeting next week. So they can look at it and they can figure out, these higher ups can figure out, we're going to define a woman this way. So kudos to Enes Kanter and Royce White, because if those two, with their little test of the eligibility rules of the WNBA, if those two prompted this action by Cathy Engelbert, bravo to you two, because at least maybe we're going to get somewhere. And that would be great. So here's a big picture for you. Let me know in the chat box. Let me know and Ask Linda at the end of the show, or just comment. Give me some comments. I'll try to get to them. Definitely. That was my dog coughing again. Is the WNBA, because you always hear the argument, oh, the WNBA, it's hotter than ever. The ratings are great. Well, is the WNBA being damaged by all this endless controversy? Or is the controversy actually helping the WNBA, well, become impossible to ignore? I think it's the latter. I think they're creating the controversy and it becomes impossible to ignore. This is why I still talk about it, because it's head shaking, these topics, and someone's got to talk about it. I know I'm not the only one, and I know we're hearing from both sides, but I just don't want to hear one side say, "Oh, it's the other side making this all a big deal." No, both sides use political and cultural issue topics to voice a narrative, and both sides are allowed to voice their opinion. One side should not be bullied or badgered. I'll stand by that. Let everyone talk. But for me, I like talking about these issues because people are talking about it. And I feel I am the voice of the fan. Whether you agree or not, I am the voice of the fan. I always have been. And I love hearing what you guys think.